Some people with us, some with their frown. Still I know my purpose is to share what we found. Some people insist to wear others down. And all will bear witness unto who wears the crown.
Meet the Israelite Tribe of Benjamin, whose patrilineal genetic haplogroup also falls under the broader EM2 umbrella. The specific subclade or branch for the Tribe of Benjamin is EM12 with the defining SNP marker CTS2807. Here are the facts. In 1980, a group of construction workers made a remarkable discovery in Jerusalem's Givat Shlomo neighborhood. They unearthed several ossuaries. One of the ossuaries bore the inscription that read, "Saul, son of Kish from Gibeah, chosen by the Yahuwah." The ossuary bearing the name of Jonathan, son of Saul, was also discovered. King Saul was the first king of Israel and a member of the tribe of Benjamin. See 1 Samuel chapter 9 verse 1. A team of archaeologists led by Amos Kloner meticulously excavated the ossuaries. In 1981, the ossuaries are transferred to the Rockefeller Museum in Jerusalem for study and preservation. In 1989, Amos Kloner published a preliminary report on the ossuaries in the journal Kadem. In 2003, the book The Maresha and Givon Excavations, Field Diary 1984-2002 by Amos Kloner was released. It provides a detailed account of the discovery of King Saul's ossuary. In 2010, the SNP marker RS20326650 was first identified as a defining SNP mutation for Cushite populations in the paper Why Chromosomal Diversity in East Africa? Insights into the Genetic History of the Region by Yali, M.G. et al. In the same year, Cruciani et al. Discovers a new defining SNP marker for the EM12 haplogroup that is more specific to Negro Shemite populations of the Levant. Its nomenclature is called SNP CTS2807. Also in 2010, Dr. El Haik and Yossi Nagar published a paper in PLOS ONE reporting the discovery of CTS2807 in King Saul and his son Jonathan at the Gavat Shiloh archaeological site. Note, SNP mutation CTS2807 was introduced in 2010 to replace RS2032650 as the defining marker for the EM12, only in the context of identifying the defining Israelite SNP marker. To my Nubian-centric Israelites, rest assured the SNP RS2032650 is still used today as the defining SNP mutation for identifying modern descendants of East African Cushite populations. The remains of Cushite nobles were discovered in a royal necropolis in the ancient city-state of Kish, located 10 miles outside of Baghdad, Iraq. Genetic samples revealed a high frequency of EM12 haplogroup with the defining Cushite SNP mutation. Again, in contrast, for the purpose of clarity, EM12 with defining SNP mutation CTS2807 was found to be a more specific defining marker in relation to King Saul, Jonathan, and other males from the Israelite Negroid populations of the Levant. The Beja people are a Cushitic-speaking ethnic group who live in Eritrea, Sudan, and Egypt. They are confirmed historically and genetically to be the descendants of ancient Cushites and Shemites. Here are some facts to break Baltardy's back. According to Roman and Byzantine historians, the Beja tribe was referred to as the Blemmye. Blemmye is the Old Latin attempted pronunciation of Banyamin. The Roman historian Ammianus Marcellinus also wrote that the Blemmye were Jews in his work Rerum Gestarum Libri. Byzantine historian Procopius of Caesarea wrote that the Blemmye were of the Jewish faith in his work History of the Wars. Procopius of Caesarea, History of the Wars, Book 1, Chapter 19. The Blemmye are a race of Ethiopians who live above the confluence of the Nile and the Astaboras. They are of the Jewish faith and are governed by a king, Ammianus Marcellinus, Rerum Gestarum Libri, Book X7, Chapter 4. The Blemmye, a race of Jews who dwell in the interior of Africa, beyond the Astaboras River, and are divided into two tribes, the Nobatai and the Nigritai. It is clear that Roman records identify a distinct Shemite Negro population, who they called the Nigrite. The Nobatai or Nuba people constitute the Cushite ethnic group. According to a 2013 study published in the journal PLOS Genetics by Hassan et al., the Beja people of northeastern Sudan has a significantly higher frequency of the CTS2807 SNP mutation than surrounding East African populations. Genetic evidence combined with historical records presents an irrefutable body of evidence. Regardless of the contemporary cultural and linguistic status of the male Beja tribe, a substantial proportion carries a genetic legacy that traces its roots to the Benjamites, the descendants of King Saul, son of Kish. Here is the statistical data of EM12 among African American males in the U.S. according to commercial DNA companies 23andMe 0.25%, Ancestry DNA 0.23%, MyHeritage 0.24%. So 0.24% out of 20 million African American males carry the EM12 marker. This amounts to 48,000 African American males having the EM12 marker, and thousands being from the tribe of Benjamin by way of the specific SNP marker, CTS2807. Sampling bias as well as Arab slavery in East Africa may account for the low population of Benjamites in the United States. The same companies recorded a higher frequency among male Negro population in Jamaica, where an estimated 5% out of 1.4 million Negro males were found to carry the EM12 haplogroup. This means that 70,000 males carry the EM12 marker in Jamaica. While significantly higher, it would be inaccurate to claim the West Indies contains the entire tribe of Benjamin as some made-up charts claim. Discovering the hidden genetic legacy of King Saul, son of Kish, and the tribe of Benjamin is not for the faint-hearted. We've unearthed this truth through the meticulous scrutiny of the Cushite SNP marker, slicing through the tapestry of DNA to reveal the defining Israelite lineage. Now listen up, because this revelation isn't meant for everyone. If you're drowning in the decadence of Sodom and Mitzrayim, unable to distinguish Quadashim from yeast, this knowledge will be a bitter pill. It's like a mirror reflecting your contempt for education. Time to humble yourself, for genetic mapping has slapped you with the undeniable truth. You are an Israelite. Some of you probably think this genetic mapping is part of another confraternal ideological scheme for allies. No, I'm only here to educate the remnant of Zion. The Most High is speaking through our genetic heritage, and it's time to act accordingly. To the remnant of Benjamin, may this work be a barak that propels you to contend for your crown. As the Moedim approaches, may the intelligence of this truth set you ablaze in glory even in the midst of our enemies. Shalom.